Hello, gentle viewers. Is that too much?
That was a boom. When he heard that one.
This is another episode of Alistair Reviews It, and today we will be reviewing 3 movies: Ocean's 8, Hereditary, and The Incredibles 2. I was going to review it in the order of Incredibles 2, Hereditary, then Ocean's 8, but Ocean's 8 has been kind of bashed critically, and I loved it, so I decided to put it first. Again, we are going to do a brief summary of how we feel about the movie, and then we're going to go further into detail, and chapter times are going to be right down below. You ready?
Yes.
Let's start with
Give me glasses. I want glasses.
Is it?
Oh my gosh, did you sit on these?
I don't know.
They're crooked.
You probably are.
Hello, gentle viewers. That's your intro.
Okay, starting with Ocean's 8. Basically, it's
George Clooney. Debbie Ocean is George Clooney's sister.
Debbie Ocean, who is George Clooney's sister from the other movies, gathers an all-female crew to attempt an impossible $150 million heist at New York City's Met Gala. This crew includes Sandra Bullock, Kate Blanchett, Anne Hathaway, Sarah Paulson, Aquafina, and I'm pretty sure that's a toothpaste.
Bless up.
With Rihanna and Helena Bonham Carter.
Helena Bonham Carter. You know what I just noticed? Side note, it's interesting that Kim Kardashian agreed to be in a movie about a robbery.
Kim Kardashian is in.
She makes a cameo in it.
Oh yeah, she is. Yeah.
At the Met Gala, so that's interesting, ain't it?
It is interesting. What I found funny was that Rihanna was in the movie, but in last Met Gala she was the hostess. But in this movie, it's Anne Hathaway.
She's the hostess.
What?
Yes.
Hostess with the meisters?
What?
I love this movie. I thought it was incredibly entertaining. It was exactly the movie I wanted to be watching while I was watching it.
It was a pleasant surprise.
I think some things are a little too easy in the movie, and they could have been harder, but overall, I really enjoyed it.
Yes.
I really enjoyed it.
I really enjoyed the movie. I would agree with you that a lot of the problem... So the movie overall, the story is kind of just put together. It's not really anything new, but the cast is the central focus, and the cast is what's going to get you interested in the movie. Through the entire film. They have these problems that arise, and you'll see the problem, and the problem will be introduced, and then you really start thinking to yourself, wow, though this could be a really tricky situation here, and then maybe 5 minutes later,
They figure it out.
Yeah, they figure it out, and it's just way too easy. But the cast, you're coming to see the cast in this movie.
I think they do really well.
I would love to see a sequel with them, with maybe a stronger plot and more of a high stakes game, because this should have been pretty high stakes. It's $150 million.
Well, so. I think it was high stakes, and I like that it was...
But they didn't play that up.
Well, I like that it was glamorous, because at first I was like, oh, why isn't it just like a normal bank robbery or something robbery? But honestly, why does it have to be a glamorous Met Gala kind of thing? But I liked it.
No, I think it worked too. I think it worked.
Now we're going to go into the spoiler version of this review. I think Sandra Bullock was amazing. Her character, Debbie Ocean, was perfect for her. In that first scene, she's apologizing for what she had done in the past criminally, and then they let her out of the prison, and then she starts talking to the prison guard, and you realize that she was running some sort of heist in the prison anyways, and then she just goes out to New York City, she steals stuff and then tries to return it.
She plays up a lot of really good tricks in the movie.
Yeah, I was like, why did I
especially in the OBA in the beginning when she first gets out of prison, and it kind of makes you think sometimes maybe I could do this.
It looks so glamorous.
She goes to the store with this makeup unopened, and she goes to the counter. She says, "I'm going to return this." She says, "Do you have the card that you used to
receipt.
buy this, or
Yeah.
a receipt. And Sandra Bullock goes, no, this is ridiculous. This
They're
is
unopened.
unopened.
Yeah.
Why can't I just return this? And the woman goes, we can't help you. And Sandra Bullock goes, this is ridiculous. So she says, can I at least have a bag? and she puts all the stuff that she had just stolen into the bag, and she walks out. Things like that. They're pretty cool.
Yes.
I thought that was a good ride.
I thought that was a
very
really good
strong
way
opening.
to open the movie. That was a great way to open the movie. But again, the movie's cast is what really made it interesting all the way through, because these are incredible women in their fields, in their profession, all with great careers in acting, and you really wanted to see what each woman was going to bring to the table. I will say that I wanted a little bit more of Mindy Kaling.
Is that how you say her name?
Yeah,
Kaylee?
I think
Mindy.
it's Kaling.
I don't know.
Because she's hilarious in the Mindy
I've never
Project.
been a huge fan of
She's
Mindy.
hilarious in the Mindy Project, and I thought she was gonna bring that more in, but she was more like, kind of like the joke of hilarious, or maybe actions hilarious,
Yeah.
not so much like hilarious in terms of her dialogue.
Oh,
But then again, usually Mindy Kaling, she writes her own dialogue.
Yeah, very true.
And this
writes-
is a script that she went on.
I mean, Mindy doesn't really get a lot of. When she gets roles in movies, she doesn't get a lot of screen time, and she doesn't get a lot of like really good dialogue. And so in this, what was the other one she was in that we just saw? It was A Wrinkle in Time. Like she's there. Her presence is there,
Yeah,
but
her
they're not
dialogue
really
was
giving
like
her
quotes.
much.
It was so weird.
They ain't really giving her much. Awkwafina carries most of the comedy in this. I would say.
I like how the movie was very altruistic, where the women they weren't doing it for any sort of cause. It was all kind of greed. It's for themselves. But at the same time, Sandra Bullock makes a little speech towards the end when they're about to start the heist, where she says, "You're not doing this for yourself. You're not doing it, for anybody else. You're doing it for all those little girls out there who dream of growing up and becoming a criminal." I thought that was great.
It was good. That was a good little line there.
Yeah.
And then the plot twist at the end was that they weren't just stealing one Cartier necklace worth $150 million. They were stealing the entire
monarchy collection.
Yeah, the entire
European monarchy
gaggle of
collection,
jewelry
yeah.
from the Met Gala.
Which made sense towards the end. I don't really like to think about movies while I'm watching it because I like to be surprised. I don't like to try to figure it out while it's going on. So I didn't try to figure it out while it's going on, and it was a twist for me, and it made sense. And I was like, oh, that's amazing.
Twist. I thought it was a good twist.
And I also liked how Anne Hathaway came into it, because I was enjoying her character all the way through. I thought she was having a lot of fun with her character.
I agree. Her character was amazing. So Awkwafina and Anne Hathaway carry most of the comedy in this, and Anne Hathaway just went full throttle with her just
just going overbearing,
just like
starlet.
She's just a starlet, the typical stereotypical starlet, and she did great. I did think the way she came into the group and joined OCEAN'S 8, because I didn't really count the cast while I was watching. If I would have counted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, I would have been well, 8 is gonna come up soon, and Anne Hathaway would probably be 8. But I didn't really expect her to come in. But how she came in, it was just too easy, just
a little too much. There should have been more dialogue. There should have been that confrontation.
Yeah.
Maybe a scene of a confrontation between her and
maybe the seeds planted.
Debbie Ocean.
The seeds should have been planted a little bit more in your face throughout the movie. I thought it was way too. They were trying to be subtle with it, but they didn't even. The subtlety wasn't even there. It just was. It was a complete well, where did this even come from? I do like that she's part of OCEAN'S 8, though. I think that if they did a sequel, it's great to have her included in that, because while the movie was going on, I was thinking of a sequel, and I was thinking how they would go about a sequel.
And they did set it up for a sequel.
Kind of missing Anne Hathaway. They did set it up for a sequel.
They set it up for George Clooney to possibly come back.
They left that door open. They were clearly leaving that door open.
I really hope that.
Yeah.
I really hope there's a sequel.
I
think it made enough money for a sequel. It's just it didn't have as good of a critical reception as
I think if they brought George Clooney back and they brought the women back, I think it would be, if it was a Debbie Ocean George Clooney movie, I think it would be a successful film. I feel like.
You haven't watched the first movies?
I haven't watched any of the Ocean's movies.
Oh my god.
Nope. I've seen a bit of one of them.
Julia Roberts.
Julia
Roberts was
bring her back too.
And I think she would have been great as one of the 8. But I know some critics believe that there should have been like a Julia Roberts male character to balance out all the female characters, and I thought that's what I was gonna feel like going in. But honestly, after the movie ended, I didn't feel like I needed that male character.
Yeah.
And the only male character who really came into it was
James Corden.
James Corden, and I thought he was.
I thought he was miscast. I thought they were
funny.
trying to make his character really funny and really like, you know, I don't know. It was during a moment where these women are, you know, they could possibly be figured out and they could possibly go to jail, and this guy's investigating them, and James Corden just made it more funny than serious, and I thought that role should have been cast by a serious actor or cast with a serious actor so that we would have felt a little bit of anxiety
Someone
that
who
they're
looks
going to
like
get.
they take their job seriously.
Yeah, that they're going to get caught, because I didn't believe that they were going to get caught at all with James Corden hunting them down. And I love James Corden. I think James Corden is the bee's knees.
The bee's knees. Okay.
Yup.
So that's it for the spoiler review of Ocean's 8. Hereditary.
Yes! Yes!
Okay.
I love this movie.
Hereditary was written and directed by Ari Aster and starred Toni Collette, Millie Shapiro, Gabriel Bryan, and Josh Wolf. It's Josh Wolf, right?
It's Alex Wolf, by the way.
And
it's
Alex
Wolf, and his brother's Nat Wolf, and they were part of the Naked Brothers band, so I don't know how you don't know this.
Anyways.
Don't you talk to me like that. I am your husband. I'm sick of tired of having you talk to me with that face on your face.
Anyways.
I love this movie.
We actually went to see it twice. The first time I saw it, I thought it was a masterpiece. The second time I saw it, I fell asleep.
He did fall asleep a couple different times throughout it, which is fair. It is. So this movie is very slow paced. It's not. So I compare horror between horror like classics, The Exorcist, Rosemary's Baby, and then horror of today, which they're still classics. Like The Conjuring, I think, is now a classic, but it's very different from those two former movies. And I think Hereditary more falls in line with The Exorcist and Rosemary's Baby. It takes time to set up exposition and for character development and just really setting up the scares and slow burn, whereas, you know, The Conjuring is in your face the entire movie.
Yeah, well...
I thought... go ahead.
So I was a little nervous to watch this movie because I heard it compared to Mother a lot. And unlike most people, Zach and I actually liked Mother, but it was one of those movies that we didn't like while we were watching it. We kind of had to sit on it for a couple days, and then we went back and we liked it.
Mm-hmm.
So Hereditary was actually much like that, but without the urge to leave the movie halfway through.
I don't know if I would agree with that, though, because Mother was
uncomfortable to watch.
It was uncomfortable to watch. I would agree with
Yeah.
that. But Mother was more. It wasn't a horror movie at all. Mother is not a horror movie, but they tried to market it as a horror movie. Hereditary is a horror movie. This is a scary movie, and there are genuinely creepy, good scares. Whereas Mother, there weren't any moments that were really scary.
So Toni Collette does an amazing job.
Yes.
This is the end of the non-spoiler review. We're gonna go into the spoiler.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. So Toni Collette does an amazing job. When I saw the first one, I thought, oh my gosh, she's such an amazing actress. And then Zach introduced me to the United States of Terror, and now I can only think of her as an alter. If you guys haven't seen United States of Terror, you guys should check it out.
United States of Terror is a great show, but I've been a huge Toni Collette fan for years and years and years, and I love her in my favorite things that she's in. It's Muriel's Wedding, isn't it? If I'm wrong, correct me. Muriel's Wedding, United States of Terror, The Dead Girl, which she only has a section of that movie. I haven't shown you that yet. And then now Hereditary. I think Hereditary is probably my favorite thing she's ever been in. I think if she does not get an Academy Award nomination and a Golden Globe nomination and all the awards, I'm going to be sorely disappointed.
Yeah, but it's pretty far away to be an awards contender.
Exactly. So that's the only downside.
Is
It is a summer movie, and by the time awards nominations start coming out, Academy voters have already forgotten the summer movies. But you know, I still think her performance is strong enough that hopefully it carries all the way to the end of the year. Yeah, okay, I think she was. Yeah, if anything, you have to go see this movie for Toni Collette. She's amazing. I can't rave enough about her, and the whole cast around her. Everybody was really well cast, and Alex Wolff was really well cast too.
Well, let's talk about the actual story a little bit.
Okay. Okay. He's gonna have to cut out.
Hereditary is a story told through 3 generations of women. So it turns out the grandmother was some sort of queen, like Satanist, who was trying to summon this one of like the hell kings of hell and bring him forth onto earth. This person was called Paidman, and he was supposed to apparently have a male body, but since Toni Collette's character wouldn't let the mother into her life at the time, it turned out to be the daughter. And so, like, the entire story was basically trying to correct that mistake, honestly, and killing off a bunch of people in like the process of it. That's what I saw.
It's hard as hell to pin the movie down, like to really describe it, because you're confusing me a little bit. I saw the movie.
Throughout the movie, the Satanists are basically trying to expel Peter, Alex Wolff's character, from his body and replace him with Paidman.
And he is Toni Collette's son in this.
But Paidman is originally in Charlie, Toni Collette's daughter. So it gets kind of confusing, and there's a lot of symbolism in the movie. So honestly, it would take like another half hour to really go through the symbolism. Mm-hmm. But you know, we've noticed that the figurines kind of like represent some sort of control, and that the lights represent like Paidman's influence on others.
It's just there's a lot in it. There's a lot.
I
will say that the one huge genuine scare that comes in it is more of a
shock.
It's not even like it's not a jump scare or anything like that. It is a shock. It is a shock. It's a jolt.
It's just like I don't want to look at this.
So there's a party, and Peter, Alex Wolff, and his sister Charlie, they go to it. Peter's supposed to bring Charlie to it. Peter starts smoking some weed with his friends. Charlie starts eating some chocolate cake. Charlie has a nut allergy that is explained at the beginning of the movie. And so, and they mentioned an EpiPen, and from there I knew that something was going to go wrong with nuts. But, so Charlie starts eating this cake, and she gets an allergic reaction. Her throat starts closing up. Peter takes Charlie in the car, and they start driving, and he's rushing her to the hospital, and she can't breathe, and it's really, the whole scene is really
it's uncomfortable. Yeah,
I really
you
couldn't
think
watch
that she's going to die in the back, but then
she's really like, the actress is, she's grabbing at her throat. You can really, like, you feel like you can't breathe too.
Yeah.
I didn't watch, the first time we watched it, I couldn't watch it. I couldn't look at her really, like, struggling to grab breath, and then I saw her stick her head out of the window, and I just couldn't watch it. The second time I watched it, but she's in the back seat, she's struggling for breath. She sticks her head out of the window, and all while this is happening, we keep getting cuts of the road, and so you know something's coming up in the road, and then you know a dead animal carcass is in the middle of the road. Peter swerves. He drives right by a telephone pole, and Charlie
has her head out for air.
Yeah. And she's decapitated, and it's something that is completely unexpected. When you watch the trailer, you think. Like, they did such a good job with the trailer and such a good job with the marketing, because you don't expect the movie to take the turn that it does, and I think it makes the whole movie because of it.
And then it goes into like a decapitation frenzy, in which I think that in order to transfer Paidman from one place to another, from one consciousness to another, there needs to be some sort of decapitation ritual.
Yeah.
But overall, we enjoyed the movie. I didn't enjoy it watching it again, but it's really fun to watch it, and then like
take time.
YouTube,
I think if we would
some like theories about
film
it.
Theory if you watch it and then take some time, it's not a movie that you need to watch over and over and over again. But if you watch it and then you take some time in like a year or like 2 years and watch it again, I think you would enjoy it again. But it is a very acquired taste, and the first half of the movie is very character driven, exposition driven, and then the second half of the movie, it's like they smoke crack and everything just fucking goes haywire. So
yeah, there was a reviewer who described it as a cult gathering that you didn't know that you were going to go to, but had already started before you got there. So I thought that was really funny.
It was.
Okay.
Great movie though. Go see it.
The Incredibles 2, that was written and directed by Brad Bird, who did The Incredibles 1.
Yes.
This is 14 years later, guys.
Yes.
And honestly, we're just gonna say we really enjoyed the movie. And I'm gonna just roll into the spoiler review.
Yeah.
This. I'm just gonna roll into it.
I mean, you don't really everybody knows.
Everybody knows it's great. So
if you don't want to see the spoiler, go ahead and just click it out.
Okay, so let's go. I wanted to talk about animation first. So obviously this was a Pixar movie. Did you notice any difference between the first movie and the now movie?
In terms of yes, 100%. It wasn't like it's a notable difference. So when we saw this movie, Alistair went in and got the tickets, and I was sitting in the truck waiting. And this was a little bit before the movie. He came out with the tickets, and then a little bit later we went in there, we handed our tickets, he made us go over to like a table, and they gave us like a lanyard and a poster and all this really cool stuff.
So I had actually paid for a double feature.
He paid for a double damn feature, so it was the first and second movie.
So we went ahead and stayed and we watched both movies.
So we stayed and watched both movies, and if you see them back to back like that, it's way too... I'm sorry. It's way too long. Way too long. I wasn't too happy with it. But if you watch the movies back to back, you can see you can see a notable difference in the animation though. So if you're going to see this movie,
it still looks like
without recapping on the first movie, I don't know if you would really notice it. It does carry the same feel, carry the same animation.
So I actually didn't notice this until I watched a video and somebody pointed out how Evelyn's character really held themselves like a human being, which is not like normal characters. And I didn't notice that until I looked at her and I see that, but that's not something I saw. That's something pointed out to me.
Yeah.
And then going into character acting, I think Craig T. Nelson as Mr. Incredible did a really good job because he was the one who had to stay home. He was the one who had to go through all the actions of Jack being freaking crazy. Yeah. And I think he did a good job at acting through his voice work.
I'm not sure how hard voice work acting is. I'm not saying it's not hard. I'm just saying I'm not familiar with any. Well, no, I'm not familiar with any of that, so I don't know how hard it is because I've never watched an interview of somebody talking about how hard it is. I know that acting is really hard. So, but I would assume it'd be hard, right?
I mean, it is hard because you have to express everything through your voice. Yeah. You can't rely on your facial features. Brad Bird, the writer and director, I didn't know was Edna Mode. I didn't know Edna Mode was voiced by a male person, and I later found out. I looked it up. That Edna Mode is actually based loosely off of Edith Head, who looks a lot like her, and she won 8 Oscars for costume design. So that makes sense. Costume design, superhero costume design.
Edna Mode's 2 scenes in the movie were my favorite scenes.
They were great. Yeah. Great. Her and Jack, they have such chemistry.
I would watch a whole short film.
Right?
They should do that for the next movie.
Jack and Edna Mode. I would love it. Yeah, Jack himself stood. Obviously, there was no voice acting for Jack. Well, there was some little baby voice acting for Jack, but he definitely stood out. He had 17 powers throughout the entire movie, and it kept everything super interesting. Yeah. It was really interesting to see how all these powers developed and how everybody reacted to each of the powers that came.
The animation on Jack was the best overall, I think.
Oh yeah. It was. I hope we see them grow up. When I found out that they were doing an Incredibles 2, I was hoping that was going to be 5 years later or some sort of time later.
I don't know if I would.
But I think it worked because they literally came off the last film.
If they do another one, I think they should
a little bit of a skip, yeah.
Maybe Jack's 2 or something.
Well, because I hate when they make cartoon characters cease to age. That's honestly something that I don't like. Because there's never any development in cartoons because they want to just keep them frozen in time, and that's something I don't like to watch.
Have you ever seen As Told by Ginger? It used to be a show on As Told by Ginger. It used to be a show on Nickelodeon. It was one of the first animated shows where the characters changed their clothes every episode and they aged from year to year. Awesome. It was really cool. It was a really good show. You should watch it.
I also did that in Rugrats.
Not really.
Well, they had the older shows.
Sometimes.
But Well, and then it took time. Anyways. So, the other thing was, I wasn't super on top of Evelyn being the supervillain. We kind of knew that Evelyn was going to be the supervillain. I felt like Evelyn was going to be the supervillain coming in. But it just seemed like her and Elastigirl had such a great like friendship. And I just don't like how people always portray women as frenemies. You know, they're friends, but they're also enemies. And I felt like that has an unfortunate clash. You know?
Yeah.
So that was one of the only things that I didn't like. I really enjoyed this movie, but I hope in the future we actually get a super villain. I want a super villain, not, you know, just regular characters, like, honestly, that just have like a lot of money.
Yeah.
Like
very true.
Like their super villain power is that they're incredibly rich.
First one and the second one, yeah.
So
maybe somebody who's an actual super who decided to go rogue.
Yeah, go rogue. Or maybe a super who thinks that they're doing the greater good, but they're actually... Because, I mean, like, is any super villain, do they really think they're evil? Or do they just think that they have better ideals than everybody else?
Very true. Very good. Very, very good idea.
Well, we really enjoyed this movie, and
it's great to go out and watch.
That is it for the review. Have a grand day. And let us know what you guys think of the movie down below. Maybe we'll have a discussion about it. Tweet me about it. And then, bye.
Have you ever seen a crowd going